My name is Tony Long, and I'm the director of the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund European Policy Office in Brussels. And I'm going to talk about the subject of water in the region of Europe. And I have to say that whereas Europe may be one of the richest parts of the world, it's not immune from some of the most pressing water problems that are occurring all over the world. And let me just say what some of those problems are. Of course, Europe is a very densely populated area, so we've got massive problems also from industry pollution of waterways, from agricultural pollution of waterways, the whole, what we call the eutrophication, in other words, the excessive use of nutrients going into some lakes, but also into huge seas like the Baltic Sea and so on. So pollution problems in a very industrialized part of the world are a huge problem. A second problem is just the overuse of water, the over-abstraction of water. And Europe's agriculture, for instance, is very heavily dependent on water use, to the point where 70 or even 80% of water in some parts of Europe is used for agricultural production. And then on top of that, those problems, pollution and over-abstraction, now we've got the whole concern about how climate change is threatening water. And at the moment, this year in Europe, we're experiencing some pretty extreme weather conditions. Big droughts, particularly affecting countries like France, where the wheat crops are really down, where the water for generating electricity and hydropower is just drying up. And then in the center of Europe, in the whole Danube River basin, big concerns about whether there's going to be enough water in the rivers to actually allow the boats to navigate along the Danube River. And then in parts of England, well, just in the last week, some parts of England have now been declared official drought areas, and that will mean that there'll be some drastic actions taken soon. So rich countries, but a poor record on water, and climate change is going to mean that these issues around water are going to climb up the agenda for the politicians, for the decision makers, and for organizations like my own, who've got to make sure that when scarce resource like water is getting shared out, that it's not just the big heavy hitters that get the first access to the water, the agriculture and the industry and the energy and the navigation and so on, but that nature gets a shout as well. And because it's just as much the birds and the insects and the plants and all the things that live in our nature that require water too.